Okay, guys, here's the screencast for Friday the 23rd in creative writing, and this is kind of a self-directed day. The first thing you want to do is start today with Journal 4. That's 10-12 minutes on your own, um, just responding in verse, whatever manner you want it to look like. Same deal that we've been running the last few days. Just go ahead and create your journal response for the start of class today. The next thing we're going to do is this page that I'm showing you on. I'm going to flip you through about 6 or really more like 8 or 10 pages. The first thing we're going to do that we'll see on the portfolio assignment sheet is these I am, we are, this I am, we are list here. And what it says at the top here is using I am or we are, depending on whether you want to be singular or plural. I want you guys to write metaphors in which you compare yourself to animals or places or ideas or whatnot here. And so you're looking for 7 one-line extensions here. I want you to say, I am or we are, and then name something in nature. And the goal is that with each of these, you're going to say, like, I'm a mountain, and then provide some sort of an extension there, the who, what, when, where, or why type of extension. I am or we are, name an animal. I am an age, and I don't necessarily mean like 17. You could do 17. You could do like I am a teenager, I'm an adolescent, I am, Generation Y, something like that, or whatever you guys are. Name a color on the fourth one. Name where you come from or where you live. You could say, I am Fort Collins. You could say, I am Colorado or I am America or something like that, right? The sixth one would be, I am an object, any object you want it to be. And the seventh one is some idea, hope, sadness, love. Remember, these are all metaphors. You want to make sure they're things. You don't want to make them into descriptors. But provide 7 of these and then extend each of them with at least one topic. The next thing that I want you to do, and again, you may need to pause the video to get to this. The next thing I want you to do is, this is the extension part. Why, when, where, how. Um, if you haven't already done the extensions, this is kind of your guidance there. I'm the wind, clean and fresh, rustling you as I move by. I'm a coyote, prowling the woods at night. These are the extensions. This is what you should have them look like when all is said and done. And what you're then going to do is you're going to turn them into a poem. This is what's listed as the I am, we are extension of 10 or more lines. I want you guys to write a poem out of this using one or more of these metaphors here. You can include new ideas. You can add more extensions. If there's one of them, like I'm a mountain, go ahead and add a bunch of extensions to that. Here's an example by a woman named Barbara Jackson. I'm a wave lapping on the beach from the sea, expanding and changing. Like a coyote, I prowl at night, my sound piercing the air. I'm green, like the forest, emerald and soothing, but come too close and I'm sand, flowing through your fingers. Hold me if you can. And what you see here is she's used, one of them is turned into a simile, but 4 metaphors. I would argue, based on the comment I've left here on the page, that it's a bit disjointed. I don't love it when you take 3, 4, 5, 6 of these different metaphors and slam them together. I think the best of these poems is when you take one of them and extend it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Go with I'm a mountain or I'm a train or whatever it might be and extend it 4, 5, 6 times and see if you can turn that into a poem. Or if there's a couple that really play well together, maybe use a couple. But I think if you start putting 4 or so together, it gets a bit choppy and disjointed to me. Here's another one. This one is another example. I'll read it through and then talk it through. I am water, white, frozen on deck. Horizontal, wind-driven snow, tears on bridge windows, wiped away by black blades flowing slowly down portholes. I'm water, thick, floating pads of ice, muddy, brown, full of glaciers, black, acrid in coffee, waking the sleepy watch. I am water, stingily yielding barn door halibut, steamy hot for swabby showers, dripping stealthy from a leaky flange, freight train through an unseen hole. I am water, cooling mass of machinery, furious, struggling inside big black boilers. Let me flow through the blades of turbines, turning the wheel, my price for freedom. I am water, holding the ship in arms, great smooth rollers like a nursemaid singing lullabies to sleepy sailors, and deep waves of green water, white over the bow, calm at times, invisible in the night. This is an example of a metaphor poem, a metaphor extension where we have the same metaphor with a bunch of different extensions. I am water is the only metaphor that really exists in here. And it runs all the way through. What I've highlighted here is in the opening stanza, water is depicted as passive, kind of an accessory. In the second one, it adds this element of danger, but it's still pretty passive. Muddy, brown, full of glaciers. It's not like they're being struck by a glacier, but passive here. The third stanza, we get into like some active uses, that water is useful, that it provides these fish, that it provides these showers. And yet, there's some danger at the end of stanza 3. Stealthy. If you're on a boat, dripping from a leaky flange, that's a big deal. Freight train through an unseen hole, that's a deal. And the fourth one, it's useful, but it's needed. Struggling inside the boilers, moving the blades of turbines. And then the last one, powerful and active. Interesting extensions all the way through. And what I've underlined here is great diction. The person who wrote this, Bruce Sherman here, clearly knows about water and what it's like to be on a boat. The words that he uses, the boilers, the turbines, if we go back to the other page, the black blades and the portholes and the deck and the barn door halibut and the swabbies and the flange. The diction is solid. This person knows what they're talking about. And I'd remind you guys again, write what you know about. Write what you know about. But pick a metaphor or two or three and try to create a metaphor poem. That's your I am, we are extension. And if you need to pause the video, now's the time to do that. The next document that I'm going to show you guys is the other, and I'll full screen it here, but this is the final bit that you want to do today. It's called your Thoughts and Emotions Metaphor Extension. And what I want you guys to do here is project human characteristics a little bit here. I want you to use the traits of things to maybe highlight who you are in a given time period or in a given mental stance. Start your poem with one of the phrases below. And I don't need you to write one for each of these. I've had students in the past screw that up. I do not need you to write one for each of these, but I want you to pick one of these and go with it. In my past, I was blank. And again, you're a person, a place, or a thing. In the mirror, I am a blank. In my dreams, I am a blank. I'll read you an example of that one. But pick one of these that you want to play with. And again, if you need to pause the video, now's the time to do it. Here's an example. In my fears, this is a 16-year-old. In my fears, I'm an island, surrounded by water, scarce from everything else. My age is unknown, my outskirts are cold, water beats upon my shore. But in my center rests a volcano. Hot, molten lava eats away at my greenness, adding land to water. If I flip a page, here's some dissection of that. In my fears, this is the starting point, was in my fears, I'm an island. Great metaphor. And what you find in stanza 1, real negative traits, solitary, loneliness, isolation. You even get a glimpse here of like water, maybe beaten down. My outskirts are cold, water beats upon my shore. And again, if he's an island, metaphorically, verbal, physical, we don't know. But there's a massive shift between stanzas 1 and 2. And it's indicated by this but. I love buts here, and I'm not trying to make that sound the wrong way, but but's a great word. But or yet shows us these shifts. But in my center rests a volcano. Hot, molten lava eats away at my greenness, adding land to water. And I put this big plus sign on the left because it indicates this is positive. There's violence indicated in the second line. There's newness indicated in the third and the fourth lines. It eats away at my greenness. It adds land to water. It's great extensions here in the positive sense for what this island is. So while the first stanza is really negative and kind of depressing, the second stanza shows growth and newness and life coming about. It's a beautiful poem from a 16-year-old. So again, your goal is pick one of these 12 and extend it into a full-length poem. And before I cut you loose, I'm going to read you an example of one of these that I wrote myself a few years ago and got published in the Looking Glass. I'll share it with you in just a moment. Guys, I just had to find the page. This is from a few years ago. I titled the poem Ruminations of a Father. It's a poem I wrote in response to this. In my dreams, I'm a father, pouring out love and confidence, brimming with pride, a beacon of strength and stability, steadfast love for my children. Unfazed by the world around me, I am wisdom, thoughtfulness, calm. In spite of my own insecurities and fears, I am courageous, a leader. My leadership is by example, born out of humility and confidence. But in my nightmares, I am a tyrant, pouring out wrath and insecurity, brimming with frustration, a tower of unscalable walls, unachievable expectations for my children. Tormented by the world around me, I am confusion, temerity, anxiety. In light of my own insecurities and fears, I am cowardly, a follower. My leadership is a farce because I am not a leader if no one follows. Daily I exist in the tension between my dreams and my nightmares, living a little bit too equally in each of the worlds, hoping and praying my children will remember me well. So what I did there was I took the first stanza and went with in my dreams I'm a father. The second stanza was, but in my nightmares I'm a tyrant. And finally I had a little closing stanza where I kind of compared the relationship I have to both of those ideals, or both of those ideas. Your goal is to, again, write a final extension of 10 or more lines using one of these starts here. You do not need to respond to all 12. I appreciate your time and energy today. Hopefully this makes sense. Let me know if questions by email or whatnot. But otherwise, have a great weekend. Thanks for your time.